And ladies and gentlemen, we have liftoff, literally. The bike is fully functional, needed no new parts whatsoever, needed just minimal amounts of adjustments, lubricate the cable, very easy stuff, and a few tools. I'll show you from front to tail what was done on it. Very simple, straightforward stuff. I just want to show you that it actually shifts and rolls and stops and brakes, whatever, everything is good on it. It even has its own kickstand. The bicycle does weigh 37 pounds, so front brakes fully functional, rear brakes all good, and they're not squealy. And if I can get you a demo how it shifts, maybe we'll go down one gear or something like that. I only have a few yards of pavement here, so now I'm done on the smallest chain ring at the front, and maybe shift there two rings down on the rear. It shifts, it works throughout the entire range. 18 speeds, 6 at the back, 2, 4, 6 at the back, 3 at the front. 18 speeds, that's 17 more than walking for a person who doesn't have a bicycle. So let's see what was done on it. Of course the bicycle was washed. Front and rear tires were inflated and the valve stems were made perpendicular to the rim, obviously. Were inflated to 60 psi pressure, whatever that is in bars or whatever other units. The tires are actually good. Here is your tire information, 35 to 65 psi, and there are no cracks on this tire. It's fairly unused, completely safe tire. The brakes were adjusted, so the brake pads actually touch the rim when they are engaged. Let me just change hands, like so. The full surface is actually on the rim for maximum safety. It needed, and they are also aligned with the rim this way. That also helps, and you can see it just needed a few tools to get it done. Both left and right sides actually move the same amount, and the wheel needed just a little bit of truing with a spoke wrench here, just a few of them, to make it fairly true so that it passes easily between the brake pads. No issues. The wheel was of course mounted in a way that it's centered in the frame. It's correctly mounted with these tabs in the hole, like I said, and of course the cone was adjusted. It needed half a quarter turn. Okay, if you like fractions, that's an eighth of a turn for you. It needed just a minimal adjustment on the cones. So the wheel now, let me just put you back on the tripod. So the wheel actually finds its own center of gravity. It's not binding like so. It goes one way and then it turns the other way there, and then it goes back one more time and one more time. So that's how properly adjusted cones and wheel bearings look like. And of course it's not wobbly in the frame this way either. The steering stem was a little bit wobbly right around here. As the front brake is engaged, you can check it. I'm pulling the front brake now. It was rocked back and forth and it was a little bit wobbly here. It needed a little bit of tightening, I don't know, a quarter turn or less. The handlebar was not straight on. Sorry about the aircraft overhead. The handlebar was not straight on, but now it is. You can see it's actually perpendicular to the direction of travel, or to the front wheel. There, it was just off a few degrees. Super easy adjustment, one bolt or so. The cables here were rerouted and lubricated. This was more of a mess. Now the brake levers are not dragging, they actually are responsive, fully functional, and the shifters, Falcon brand shifter and derailleur, never heard of them, made in China, don't worry about it. Very 1990s design, but with the lubricated cables inside the housing, this actually works. I loosened this bolt here and this bolt here, and I made the shifters to, here you can see, just minimally overlap the grip on both sides, kinda symmetrically, because this was further towards the end of the bar, and you can see where it was just like 5 millimeters or something like that, just a 1/4 inch over, so that when your hand, whoever's hand is going to be placed here, it can be fully on the grip without this intruding in some of the positions. Of course it's out of the way this way, but eventually in some positions, in some gears, it's going to be right in the way, so you can still have your hand fully on the grip. Very straightforward stuff. Yes, the grips are also very simple and inexpensive. Everything on this bicycle is inexpensive and simply made, very 1990s technology, but hey, it's got 17 speeds more than walking. The seat was straightened, it was also leveled, and I also raised it a little bit. You can see some of these scratch marks on the seat post that are new. It's got a little dimpled out by previous tightening, but replacing a seat post is fairly easy. That one nut that needed loosening it to adjust the angle this way is fairly straightforward. So that seat post work. The rear brake, of course, is also symmetrical. Both halves work the same amount, and the wheel is centered in the frame likewise, thereabouts, dead on center, even down there. I know that you can't really, you have two eyes on your head, so you could see with two eyes both. Yeah, the camera has only one lens, so it doesn't quite work the same way, but it's centered dead on. The chain got lubricated with a little bit of mock-off wet lubricant, and this pedal was threaded in about 10 degrees or so, whatever. It was cross-threaded in and was only halfway in, not anymore. The pedal is fully in the crank arm, just like so, fully engaged with all the threads, so no issues there. The other side was good. The whole bottom bracket was a little bit loose. It was, when I moved the crank arm sideways, this bottom bracket was a little bit wobbly there. All it needed was a loosening of this lock ring a little bit, and then moving this bearing. Right now it's like centered in the 12 o'clock position. It used to be in the 10 o'clock position, so it needed this much tightening. So very simple adjustments like this. The shifter at the front was also adjusted a little bit. It was lowered by about, I don't know if you can see this dirt line on the frame, it was lowered by about 1/8 of an inch, like 3 millimeters. It now is also, it was rotated, so it's actually parallel with the chain rings below, yet allowing, when, on the biggest chain ring, allowing a clearance between the crank arm and this bulging part. So it was just shifted a little bit and adjusted. Nothing was done on the rear derailleur. Maybe one of the screws were maybe touched up at best. There is less rust on it, looking tolerable. So basically that's all the adjustments that were done on the bicycle, and like I said, it's fully functional, missing nothing, needed nothing. Put a bicycle bell on it or some lights, it's good to go.